Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So the question is, what do you think? Which fight is the biggest this year? Do you think it's AJ and Usyk, Canelo and Golovkin and their trilogy, or Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford? It's kind of hard to say, but let's take a look at a few things, right? Now, a lot of people are saying they feel Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence is going to be the biggest fight this year. But we got to peel the layers back, okay? A lot of people are emotional about the Spence and Crawford fight because the last couple of years it's been building up. And I think also because we haven't seen it. So I think when it comes to the anticipation, if that was the only criteria we were using, in addition, the fact that these two are really a little chapstick. These two are really, in my opinion, the two number ones at welterweight. I'm not going to say Spence is number one, Crawford's number two, or Crawford's number one or Spence's number two. These are the two number ones at welterweight, which are battling for the undisputed distinction. The person who loses in this fight will be the number one. The undisputed is in a category of their own. Underneath that, then you have a rack and stack of 1 through whatever, okay? So that's just how I like to look at it, because that's just how close of a fight I think we're going to have with Spence and Crawford. So when it comes to, as far as the grading criteria of anticipation, Usyk, AJ, Canelo, Triple G, Crawford, Spence, I would say Crawford, Spence is going to be the biggest fight. Now, that's just for anticipation. Now, the next set of criteria that we want to look at. What about pay, money made, money generated, revenue, okay? Now, just how much money do we think Spence and Crawford's going to generate? Well, I'll go ahead, man, and I'll answer that for you. It won't be over $60 million, okay? I just don't see that. I think Spence and Crawford, to me, each of these guys deserve, you figure if Crawford made like $6 million for Porter, he's about to fight Spence. And Spence is making, I don't know how much, but probably 6 to 8 million, okay? Could be a little bit more, could be more like 12. But let's just say both of them, and the most they made in a fight, let's just say both of them made, the most they made was like 10 million, which I don't think that's the case for Crawford. Spence, maybe. If they both made 10 million for fighting guys who don't bring to the table what their opponents in this upcoming fight brings, why can't both of these guys make at minimum 20 million each? And it'd probably be more for whoever, because I think Spence deserves the lion's share, but at least 20 million. So you're looking at, 40, 45 million, maybe 20 for Crawford, maybe 20, 25 for Spence. I don't know, 15 for Crawford, 25 for Spence. I don't know. But let's just say they end up going a 50-50 split, which I just think is asinine. But if it happens, let's say 20 million each, pay-per-view sales, everything, that fight could generate upwards of, I think, minimum 60 million. But let's just say 65 million or so, okay? That's a lot of money. But that doesn't compare to Triple G and Canelo. Triple G and Canelo, you figure Canelo's out here making, $40, $50 million a fight. So they blow Spence and Crawford out the water. So, Triple G is going to get paid handsomely, at least about 20 million. So, and then with the revenues and pay-per-view, with pay-per-view sales and everything else, sponsorship, Canelo Triple G could generate upwards of $100 million, okay? Now, that's a lot of million. That's a lot of money. But that's on the high end. But let's just conservatively say that's about a $85 million $85 million generated fight, okay? And that's good money. So as far as what makes the best fight out of when it comes to just, revenue, you got to put Golovkin and Canelo before Spence and Crawford. But the real deal when it comes to highest grossing fight between these three, you got to give that to AJ and Usyk. Now, for those of you who didn't know, AJ's making like 100, 150 million, something ridiculous to fight Usyk, especially over there in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. This man's about to make 100 to 150 million dollars. Usyk's making like, I don't know, 60, 50, 60, something crazy. That's unheard of. So you figure at the end of the day, when the dust settles, what those final numbers are going to be looking at. AJ and Usyk could be a $200 million fight. Now, you talk about going into the undisputed fight for heavyweight. Why the hell can't Tyson Fury and AJ or Usyk or whoever ends up in that position, why the hell can't $500 million be brought to the table for that fight to be staged in the Middle East? They have the money. Okay? So as far as the biggest fight when it comes to money generated, you got to go with the heavyweights. It is what it is. Okay? Now, when it comes to the biggest fight as far as action, okay, as far as entertainment, well, I think this is just a matter of opinion. I think AJ, it's kind of hard not to side with the heavyweights because those big boys can bang and it just takes one shot. And AJ is going to be coming in. I think AJ is going to be a bit more ferocious, but he's going to use a lot of intelligence behind the stick. But I think AJ is going to let some bombs off. I think AJ is going to get Usyk out of there in a violent knockout. Now, that's just me. May not happen, but I'm going to give AJ the benefit of the doubt. So, but I just don't think it's going to be as entertaining and action-packed as we would like. Canelo and Golovkin, I think we're going to see some pretty good exchanges, but Canelo's not going to stand there and go and trade with Triple G because that would be detrimental, and Canelo knows that. Furthermore, Canelo doesn't have the stamina that Triple G has. He's got to work on that. He's angry. He doesn't like Triple G. We get it. Triple G has finally kind of defended himself. He's not going to allow himself to be bullied and went out there and kind of resuscitated the whole steroid situation that Canelo was going through years ago. So there's a lot of indicators saying this is going to be an action-packed fight, but I just don't think it's going to be one of those, we're going to get the brouhaha that we're hoping for. But I think it's going to be more entertaining and action-packed than AJ Usyk. Now, Spence and Crawford, I think that's going to be the most action-packed fight and going to have us on the edge of our seats more than these other two. And for several reasons. One, Spence doesn't know how to go backwards. Spence comes all gas, no brakes, and he's letting his hands go. Crawford is a boxer. He will counter you. He will come forward. He'll come back. He'll switch it. But the reason why I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to these guys is because there are going to be so many punches being thrown that it's going to be opportunities for someone to get caught. Spence can be hit. Crawford can be hit. Spence isn't afraid to come forward. Crawford isn't afraid to come forward. They're not afraid to sit there and mix it up. They will make intelligent moves to give themselves, to posture themselves to get their offense off. That's something they both will do, but I think it's going to be more action-packed than both of these other fights. Lastly, I just really feel because we haven't seen Spence and Crawford, we're really going to be on the edge of our seats, and just for anything they do, we're going to be, it's almost like you're in the ring with them, you know? I don't know if you guys are like this, but yeah, I'm watching fights, and no kidding, I'm slipping punches and shit while I'm sitting in my chair in the living room. I'm catching punches. My wife is laughing at me. My kids are laughing at me. It's like I'm really in the ring with them. Maybe I just watch too much boxing, right? So I think as far as entertainment, I said the biggest fight, in my opinion, if we're using that criteria, you got to give it to Spence and Crawford. Now, as far as what they're fighting for, okay, I'm going to drink. See, I used to live in Korea for 3 years. I got this Korean coffee. Good stuff, man. As far as what they're fighting for, which do you think is going to be the biggest fight? Okay? Golovkin and AJ fighting for the unified titles, okay? But also, AJ is fighting for his career, for his respect. He's fighting for his mental health. AJ is fighting for a whole country of Nigeria, the country of England. He's fighting for a lot of really the whole world. There's a lot of people who like AJ. AJ is an ambassador for a lot of for a lot of different countries, and he represents a lot of those core values that I think a lot of us possess. Okay, you can say what you want about him, but let's just be fair. AJ has proven to be an ambassador for goodwill, for health, and for showing total respect to people in and out the ring, especially his opponents, and he's graceful in defeat. Okay, so I don't see how we can say anything negative about AJ. Now Usyk, you know, I could go on and on about Usyk and what this man is fighting for. Okay, he's not just fighting for belts. This man right now is probably fighting for something bigger than everyone else in here. And when it comes to these fighters, it's because of what's going on back home in this country. So I think when you're looking at that, you got to give Usyk almost like an unfair advantage in this category, because none of these guys can possibly measure up to what Usyk is fighting for. But it doesn't mean that what these guys are fighting for isn't as important to them. Okay? I think it all shares equal importance because we're talking about the individuals. But I think holistically, and I think when you look at it, you know, across the spectrum, Usyk and what he's fighting for and what he's representing right now is a lot bigger than what everybody else is fighting for. But if we keep it strictly to boxing and forget about all the political stuff, Usyk is just trying to, you know, retain his belts and go on and fight for an undisputed distinction. But I think AJ has more. He's fighting for more when we take the political piece out of it. I think AJ's fighting for more. I think he has a lot more to lose. And I say that because I think his boxing career can be really on the decline if he loses this fight. Not because he doesn't have the qualities to continue to box and be great. I just think because mentally what that would do to him. Okay? Now, Golovkin and Triple G. You know, what are they fighting for? Just respect, man. This is just some old schoolyard bullshit going on between these two, man. This is he say, she say, tit for tat, your mama joke type stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this is just two dumbasses in the junior high bathroom fighting over nothing, you know? But it's entertaining to us. So as far as what they're fighting for, to me, it's good, but just respect, but it's stupid. And they're going to get paid, though. Now, for what Spence and Crawford are fighting for, I think Spence has already proved, man. Now what Spence is fighting for when he first came out of the car accident, man, that was a lot bigger than what I think everybody, when we're just talking boxing, right? I think what Spence was fighting for is a lot bigger. I mean, what he went through in that car accident and to come back from that, and what he did against Mikey Garcia, Porter, Danny Garcia, Ugas, obliterated those guys, okay? But where he is right now going to fight with Crawford, Spence is just trying to become undisputed, so that's huge. And Canelo and Triple G are both trying to become undisputed as well. That's huge. Terrence Crawford is huge for him as well. I think this would be his third weight division. So Terrence Crawford, man, what he's fighting for is huge as well. He's trying to become the undisputed in a third weight division. But he's been there, done that. But what happens to Terrence Crawford if he loses? What happens to Earl Spence if he loses? I don't think the impact is going to be as great to those two like it would be to Joshua if he loses. What happens if Canelo loses to Triple G? Impact to Canelo. Canelo's shown that he's mentally tough, but it may impact his career. But as far as impacting Canelo, I don't think so. I think he's like, it's a fight. It's got to be a winner and a loser. He's a true professional. I don't think it will affect him like that. But when you look at a guy like AJ, 6'6", 6'7", chiseled, aesthetically pleasing, AJ should have never lost a fight. You know, you could say Canelo really should have lost those two to Triple G. Spence and Crawford, I don't think they should have lost the fight, but, well, Crawford should have lost to, no. He got knocked down by that guy. Yeah, Crawford shouldn't have lost any fight. He just got knocked down and got away with one. But when you look at it, AJ is the one, in my opinion, we talk about what they're fighting for. When you take the political stuff away from it, I think AJ is fighting, has something he's fighting for, is a bigger purpose than all these guys. Now, that's my opinion. So, that being said, the biggest fight, when you take all that criteria into consideration, to me, the biggest fight, I'm gonna say is Crawford and Spence. I think that's the biggest fight right now, and the main reason why I'm gonna say that, because this weighted value carries a lot of weight for me. To me, it's the most weighted value that we've talked about. The most weighted criteria. It's the anticipation. We haven't seen Spence and Crawford. We've seen Usyk and Joshua. We've seen Golovkin and Canelo. We don't know what's going to happen. We know we have two number ones, okay? AJ and Usyk. That's number one, and that's not even 1 and 2, okay? That's really like maybe 3 and 4, some would say. Some people consider Tyson Fury 1 and Wilder number 2. With Golovkin and Canelo at 168, I mean, I don't know, man. David Benavidez is floating around there, isn't he? And if Jamal Charlo bubbles up, but you could almost say that, Canelo and Triple G maybe the number 1 and number 3. You give Canelo number 1, Triple G maybe number 3. Benavidez really should be in the number 2 spot. You got a couple other 168 pounders floating around there too. A couple other 168 pounders. Nobody talking about Demetrius Andre, okay? But we'll say that's like a number 1 and number 2, number 3. But when it comes to these welterweights, they're both number 1s, man. You gotta give credit where credit's due. And I think the anticipation for everybody's gonna be on the edge of their seats. Now they're not bringing as much money to the table as the heavyweights, but the anticipation they're bringing is a lot bigger. No, they're not fighting for as much as the heavyweights when you think about Joshua and what happens to him if he loses. You think about Usyk and the political stuff. But I think overall, when it comes to, if you had these 3 fights on and you could only pick one to watch, right? I think most people pick Crawford and Spence. Now, if I'm wrong, leave that in the comments. And I think it's because the anticipation and the unknown and really not knowing who's going to win that fight. These other 2, I think a lot of people are favoring Canelo. I pick Triple G. AJ and Usyk, I'm picking AJ. But people are split on that. But I think most people are going with AJ to win the rematch because of what he didn't do in the first fight. But when you look at Spence and Crawford, it's hard to say. That really is like split right down the middle. It's like you really just sit there, man, and take all the boxing fans and just kind of dichotomize that. And then you're going to have one side saying this and one side saying that, and it's going to be equally balanced, in my opinion. But that being said, you guys leave your comments below and let me know which one of these guys you feel, which one of these fights you feel is going to gain, I think the most attention, be the most entertaining, and is the biggest fight of the year. I personally think, unlike Eddie Hearn, he thinks Canelo Golovkin is on another level. And I think it is when you look at specific criteria. But when you look at multiple criterion, then you have to sit there and be real about yourself and say, okay, well, if we look at it with all the, from this myriad of kind of planning factors or criterion, well, then that's what we're going to get. You got to give it to Spence and Crawford. But anyway, man, you leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. All 3 are great fights. I pick AJ to win. I pick Golovkin to win. I pick Crawford to win. But I think Crawford and Spence are the 2 number 1s. I think that fight is so close. I've said in other videos, I think it's about the adjustments Crawford has shown he can make in the ring without his corner's advice. Is while he's in there in his IQ and things are getting thick, he finds a way to win, and he's done that over and over again, and I can't see him not doing that with Spence. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's hard, and I'm saying it's 50-50, but I'm just going to pick one because that's what I do. I may not get it right. I don't need anybody reminding me of getting Benavidez wrong anymore. So what? Okay. I don't need to hear that no more. But Golovkin and Canelo, it is what it is. But that's what I'm picking Crawford. I'm picking Golovkin. I'm picking AJ. That being said, y'all take care. Appreciate the support. Shout out to all the veterans. Y'all stay safe. Get to the weekend safely, man. And as always, y'all I'm in the breeze.